Well, let's get into it right out of the chute. What'd you think of Bryce Young? Wait, did I?
You're good. You're good.
There we go. Okay. What'd you think of Bryce Young going to Carolina? He's only 5'10".
Yeah.
I can't remember a quarterback really this small. I mean, people talked about how diminutive Brock Purdy is. Brock Purdy's 6'1", 220. This guy's 5'10", 195.
I know. It's interesting because based on the fact that he was chosen number 1 shows the fact that what happens up here is so much more important than what really happens in his physical build. He's only, I think, 10 pounds lighter measured than CJ Stroud is. So he's still, at least has some size on him, so to speak, but really good processor, not the strongest arm in the world, but really can pick apart a defense. Sounds a little bit like someone who I liked last year in Brock Purdy, who's my QB6. Not the strongest arm, but can layer passes properly, has good enough mobility, and then just someone who could manage the game extremely well.
We got this super chat from Dabuda, who says, "Does the Seahawks draft so far worry you?" I really thought the Seahawks went 1 for 2. Weatherspoon, I thought was one of my favorite players in the draft. And then they went for the Ohio State receiver, and he had a terrific career statistically, and he's good in the middle of the field. But I don't know. It wasn't my favorite player. He had some huge games in his career. I watched him have some of the biggest games really I've seen in the last few years. But to me, the 40 time was just okay. I like to see college receivers who really separate more. It's a down year for the receivers. I think of the receivers, I kind of like Jordan Addison more than Quentin Johnston or Jackson Smith, Nigba. But what do you think of Seattle's draft haul overall? I'm a huge fan of John Schneider and the job that he does.
Yeah, so when I had the instant reaction to the pick, I realized Devon at 5 was, to me, a little bit rich. I was like, okay, well, the Seahawks, they've proven to be able to snipe value corners down the board. This is a deep corner class. So I thought it was a little bit high for them specifically to go corner. I love Devin Witherspoon. I think him in the top 10, perfectly fine. But it is nasty. You brought it up. You got Tariq Woolen there, Kobe Bryant, and now also Devin Witherspoon as your top 3 corners. It's a formidable front. So definitely worrisome there. And they've always been looking for a wide receiver 3. I was a big Dwayne Eskridge guy. Sucks to see that's the end of that era. But, you're giving Geno another push. And with Aaron out of the NFC, with Brock pretty much sidelined for at least a portion of the season, I think they're really going to try to take full advantage of being able to fill in the gaps and just be able to push the pedal to the metal.
Houston, I thought Houston was kind of interesting. I didn't think they were going to go CJ Stroud at 2, and they did. He's a California kid from Rancho Cucamonga and had that low cognitive test, and I think a lot of people thought, man, he's not going to go very high. Yeah. But some people thought Stroud was the most impressive player coming into the kind of pre-draft process, and then Houston takes Stroud and then trades back in with Arizona, and they get Will Anderson, and they start the D'Amico Ryans era with, a handpicked offensive player and a handpicked defensive front 7 player. Yeah. I'm sure D'Amico's feeling good right now.
Absolutely. No, I was really curious about where CJ would go because we've been hearing the term S2 test, and it's obviously Brock Purdy was the number 1 scorer last year, ended up panning out as of right now. But what it was really determining was, hey, what does a bad score mean in terms of draft stock? If CJ fell out of the top 10, maybe people really do. The NFL really does value that S2 test very highly, and they could see a correlation. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe it does actually have a really strong correlation to your performance on the field, but it really does show that when you hear all these rumors about these testing numbers, I think people feel a lot better about their guts and their evaluations than plain statistics like that.
What do you think of Richardson going to the Colts? And what do you think of Richardson overall? Because there's a lot of people that they're all over the map on him, and I get it. He needs to develop as a thrower, but what this kid's got is, he's 6'4", 245, and he can bust you. If he gets a seam, he can go 80 yards. He can run. You get inside the 5-yard line, this guy's a major threat. I think there's going to be development needed because he came out of Florida probably a tad early. But man, I thought Anthony Richardson. I think he goes to a great organization with stability. I think Ballard is a tremendous GM. I'm a huge fan of Anthony Richardson. Give me your rundown on him.
So I went on to my buddy Cody's show. He runs the Bring the Juice. They're like a similar size Colts YouTube channel, and we discussed actually the top quarterbacks in the draft and who would be best for the Colts. And I said, of all the quarterbacks not named Bryce Young, I think that Anthony Richardson would be my favorite. If CJ were there, I would still take Anthony Richardson for Steichen. When I look at Steichen's history, he is able to work with Jalen Hurts, who came into the league as an unpolished passer, really good with his legs. And then he was also somebody who had a really good work ethic. To me, Anthony Richardson is all of that because, I mean, the work ethic we'll see in time, but I saw him working a lot on his mechanics in the offseason. To me, I'm going to be optimistic and say that continues. But he has even more physical upside than Jalen Hurts does. I think that could be really positive, especially since Steichen already has a system that's proven to work with a similar caliber of player. So I love it to death. And it's awesome to see that they're making that long-term of a move.
Now, Arizona, I thought was interesting at 5. Mm-hmm. So they traded back up with Detroit, and they got Paris Johnson, who's just a very polished player. I didn't realize his dad had played in the NFL. His dad played for the Cardinals, actually. Mm-hmm. But that was, to me, this guy, 6'6", 313 pounds. Mm-hmm. And then what I'm hearing, I had a James Wiseman, as a Warrior fan, a little bit of a James Wiseman reflex when I heard that he spoke Mandarin and Portuguese. Didn't seem to help James Wiseman at all. But Paris Johnson, I've heard so many good things about Paris Johnson. And when I watched this film, I thought, man, this guy's a blue chipper. He's a plug and play tackle, and Arizona got up and got him there. I think it was what do you think of their maneuvering overall?
So I like the fact that they got future draft capital. We kind of all know that this season's a wash for Arizona. So getting more quantity than quality was probably a very smart move. Paris, to me, he was tied offensive tackle too. I really did like him. He actually continued boosting up my board during the draft process. 36.5-inch arms, ridiculous. I mean, you just can't find a random dude on the street who has that great mobility. I think he has some technical flaws, but he's played 1 year at left tackle. So I think that him going to Arizona is honestly one of the best situations because he has a year to develop before going to Kyler Murray. I love it. Athletic. He's smart. Obviously, you just brought that up. And then, he's going to be a day one starter for them, and he'll probably be there for 10, 15 years.
I think the Raiders probably got upset when the Seahawks took Devin Witherspoon. Yeah. I think the Raiders were thinking, man, Devin Witherspoon's going to fall into our lap. But they were forced to go with Tyree Wilson. Now, I like Tyree Wilson. I'm an A&M fan. He started at A&M, and he transferred to Texas Tech. And, man, long arm, 6'6", 270. The guy's a freaky pass rusher for sure, but he's a bigger bodied pass rusher. I mean, there's faster guys coming off the edge for sure. But I mean, and then you look at this team. They were 27th in sacks despite having Max Crosby. Crosby, they said it in the draft, accounted for 46% of the Raiders' sacks on the year. So they needed to diversify up front. What did you think of Wilson? Do you see special traits there? His film at times is very special.
So what I really loved about Tyree, he has all the measurables you want. He's big, he's fast enough, and obviously those arms. You can't find dudes with 35.5-inch arms who are that productive. Really good against the run. He's good at tracking the ball carrier, really good pursuit angles. But what I loved about him is he's very raw as a pass rusher, but he still put up 50 pressures. So he knows how to still use his skills, even if they're not refined. And to me, if you have that rawness and still production, and I think he has the work ethic there, the only reason he fell is because that foot injury, and people really don't. They're really not optimistic about it. But otherwise, I think he probably would have been a shoo-in, possibly at pick number 2.
Bijan Robinson, I thought, was a real surprise. Now, Bijan's obviously quite a personality. Him and Susie Colbert were walking around on ESPN in the pregame, and I guess Bijan wants to be an actor. There were a couple highlights that they showed. I don't know which coverage you watched. I watched the the ESPN coverage.
Same.
Were there three different broadcasts? It was ESPN, ABC,
and
and
NFL.
NFL Network.
Mm-hmm.
Which one did you watch? I watched ESPN.
ESPN.
Yeah, for Kuiper or for, I mean, what did you want to? Who kind of who pulled you in there?
Well, I mean,
who are you there? Who are you watching there for?
Dude, I love Greeny. I just love hearing his voice. Greeny's entertaining to listen to, so I always enjoy being able to listen to the Greeny. That's probably it. Kuiper.
I love Riddick. I like Riddick. I think
Lewis?
Riddick is. Yeah, Lewis is just. I think he's real, man. He's the closest that it gets to kind of like a personnel guy who's in the media.
Yeah. No, he's really good as well. But I love Greeny. I've always used to watch Get Up, so it's kind of nice to run it back with him.
Well, this is where the draft kind of, I thought, took an interesting turn. We're still in the top 10. We're at the 8th pick. Falcons take Bijan Robinson. Yeah. And Bijan had an incredible year, 1,600 yards, 10 touchdowns. But the highlights they showed of him as a receiver were like, whoa. Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize, now I don't watch that much of Texas. And the Big 12, every time I tune into one of those games, it's like, I feel like I'm watching like video game. It's just, I mean, nobody stops anybody. It's hard to really know what you're watching. But Arthur Smith wants to run the ball. And, man, I think they got a pretty decent run-blocking offensive line, but they're leaning on Algier and Huntley. And these guys are nothing compared. And they've got Desmond Ridder, and you would think they probably need a better quarterback. But you know what? They've kind of held firm and said, we're going to go with Desmond Ridder. And so I can see their thinking here. Let's have a dominant run game behind a real bell cow back. And they grabbed Bijan Robinson. I know Dallas probably wanted him. There's probably a handful of teams that wanted him. But I didn't expect, especially in this day and age, it's 2023, I didn't expect a running back to go in the top 10. Is it a stupid move? Is it a smart move? Give me what did you say on your live stream in the middle of this thing?
So I lamented the fact that he was not going to become a Philadelphia Eagle. I mean, I think his mom.
Are you an Eagle guy?
No, my best friend is. So all he does is talk about it. But
where are you based, by the way, Alex? Are you based in the Bay? Where are you based exactly?
So actually, one of my buddies is the scouting director for the Niners. So I love the Bay, but I go to SMU currently. So I'm in Dallas.
You're in Dallas. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And one of your buddies is the Niners scouting director? Which college director? Pro director?
Pro.
Pro. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to name him or no?
R.J. Gillen.
R.J. Gillen. And you guys are just buddies from what?
So he knew my professor in freshman year, and she connected me with him, and we've been talking ever since. So really cool guy. Deal. Yeah, no, he's somebody.
And how old are you? You're a young guy. What are you, 25?
22.
22. And you go to college at SMU?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there you go.
I'm still an undergrad. No, I got a lot of room to grow.
And what do you want to do? You want to be a pro personnel director, a college personnel director, a media draftnik, TV star, radio star, YouTube star? What's your goal?
GM.
No, I mean, if it's too personal, by the way, just say, shut the hell up. I'm not talking to you.
No, don't worry. No, GM all day. I would love to be able to run an organization like that. That's a dream of mine, hands down.
Okay, so back to the running back. Yeah. Are we in an era now where running backs are teams now seeing greater value in running backs, or is it team by team? What was your read? Where did you have Bijan mocked in leading into it?
At 10 to the Eagles. So I was thinking it was a very far stretch for the Falcons to go after him, especially when I saw Jalen Carter on the board. I was like, yeah, it's a Georgia guy. I highly doubt they're going to go that way. But man, I was saying that I think the running backs will actually go higher this year. The NFL is very trend heavy. It's a copycat league. And last year we saw 3-star running backs come out of the draft: Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, and Dameon Pierce. I think that
they all had a pretty good immediate impact.
Exactly. So I believe that the talent in this draft was even better. And then you also add in the fact that you've already seen proven production from lesser talents. I thought it was going to boost the guys up the board. As much as they did, not so sure. I didn't think that Jahmyr Gibbs was going to go that high, but I'm sure we'll talk about it in a second.
Yeah.
I really did. I was okay with the Bijan pick. I felt really bad because I don't think the Falcons are ready. And I think that Bijan could have been an all-pro running back for a Super Bowl team in the Philadelphia Eagles, or honestly anywhere else. I think there were just too many open holes for Atlanta. And I know they want to run the ball, but I don't know. I felt like it was very much a luxury pick on a team that doesn't have very much luxury.
Here's be my philosophy on a running back. If you are inside of your Super Bowl window and you feel, because there's not, the nice thing about running back is you can plug and play them. The same run you run at Texas is very similar to the run you're running with the Niners, the Eagles. So, unlike wide receiver where there's all kinds of transition time to adjust to coverages and getting off the line of scrimmage in the NFL compared to college. And, college you'll get free releases. In the pros, you don't get a free release. So you see rookie receivers struggle. But rookie running backs that have big-time talent, they can step in and play right away. So, to me, I like the idea of going for the star back if you're in your window.
Exactly.
If you're the Niners, if you're like you said, the Eagles, you lose Miles Sanders in free agency. But you're in your Super Bowl window. Go get a big time Bijan Robinson type running back and keep that train rolling. But for teams like Atlanta or anybody who's not in your Super Bowl window, by the time you do get in your Super Bowl window, what's Bijan Robinson going to be?
Exactly.
It's not. What'd you think of the Eagles pick? Because to me, this is the most interesting pick in the first half of the draft. Eagles trade up to 9. They take Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter wore 99 at Georgia. He's a great freaking football player. He's quick. He's explosive. But he also may be a little bit of a malcontent. The guy's got problems. He's got baggage. He's got issues off the field. He's got maturity issues. He's got motivational issues. He didn't show up very, very in shape at all for the off-season workouts. I got to question the maturity. The talent's off the charts. He also had the MCL sprain. But if they're getting, to me, it's as simple as this. If they feel like Fletcher Cox and their defensive line can force that kid to play to his potential, then watch the hell out for the Eagles because this guy's a monster. But that's a huge but. That's a huge but. And to me, this is Howie Roseman, who loves D-line, and I see why. But this is him saying, you know what, Javon Hargrave's a Niner. We got to replace him. Jalen Carter. He's the guy. And if they get the best of Jalen Carter, it's an awesome pick. But I think that his character and his work ethic and his, motor and his maturity is all called into question. And we'll see. We'll see. It's like to me, this is a boom or a bust kind of a pick. Give me your breakdown on it.
Yeah. Well, I think that I totally agree with your sentiment about the personality concerns. That's why he was 11 on my board. Talent-wise, he'll be number 1. I mean, that's just the plain truth. If he's 100% every single play, it's number 1.
He could have gone number 1.
He could have.
A lot of people thought the Bears were going to take Carter number 1.
Yeah, I know. And they had him at 9. That was just we don't even need to get into that topic. But when it comes down to it, I believe that the situations where he'd have the best maturation process would be in Philly or probably in New England. And in Philadelphia, you're surrounded by guys where I didn't really hear very much about Jalen Carter's personality problems before this past year. He's somebody who seems to reciprocate the energy that is around him. And I'm looking at guys like Nolan Smith with great work ethic, and then Jordan Davis, his buddy, his former teammate, great work ethic. And then you have a leader on the team in Jalen Hurts, who is extremely inspiring and works his ass off every single day. I firmly believe that this might be a really good spot for him to actually mature properly. But I was hearing rumors about the Raiders and the Seahawks, and I think Pete Carroll could do a good job at maturing a prospect like that. But when it comes to the Raiders, I just didn't trust it. And I'm just so happy for his sake that he's going to a spot where at least the probability of a boom is higher than it usually is for another team.
I'm one of these guys that, it's a rough game and it's played sometimes by some rough guys, so on and so forth. But the more I around the game on a day-to-day basis and see how professional these guys are. I mean, guys show up with briefcases and laptops, and this is not Party USA. I mean, these guys take this very, very seriously, and you better be a pro. you know, because if you're not, I mean, I'll give you an example. I thought that kid that Seahawks took a few years ago, Malik McDowell,
Malik, yeah.
out of Michigan State, that he was a really talented guy. But, you know, he crashed an ATV. He wound up hurting himself. He had problems off the field. He continued to have problems off the field. He had previous problems at Michigan State. And now I'm kind of in a mindset that, you know what? You can't babysit guys all the time. You can't be there around the clock. So you better just take guys who have motivation and are good. You know, try to get. I'm not saying you need choir boys because it's still a rough sport. But you got to have guys who care. You got to have guys who are defensive football and just football in general. You got to be accountable to one another. You got to do all the lifting. You got to do all the mental reps. You know what I'm saying? And the guy next to you's got to do it too, or none of this works. So. That would be my big concern with Carter, just how mature is he. What did you think of Detroit getting Jahmyr Gibbs? Because when I saw that, I thought, I love this move. I think there was a bunch of teams that wanted Jahmyr Gibbs. He is a home run hitter. He's an incredible runner / receiver. You saw the scene inside the Lions' war room. I mean, those guys were ecstatic. It was like, you know, I mean, they were just going crazy. Dan Campbell was running around tackling people, and Brad Hopkins was pumping his fist, and they were feeling great about it. I like the pick, but I can see people panning it. Where were you on it?
So the thing is, I used to take Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell to the Lions in the second round. Those were my dream picks in round 2. So for them to get them in round 1 rubs me the wrong way a bit. I think they could really use a boundary corner. There was one there at both 12 and 18. That was like Deontay Banks, Joey Porter Jr. I mean, Christian Gonzalez was there at 12, and they could have even traded back and gotten him. I thought they misutilized their funds, so to speak. I like Jahmyr Gibbs. He's a really good running back, but this is a really deep running back class, and you already have a bona fide starter. And you're talking about it like this is a team that's in their Super Bowl window. Dropping a running back in could end up being a very valuable move. But I feel that with the lack of receiving talent and the lack of true corner number 1 on their team, those are 2 very valuable positions that they had really easy shots on that they passed for lower value positions. So a little bit concerned about that, but Jahmyr's a great player. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're picked at pick 12, 18, or, you know, at pick 34 that they have. If he's on the roster, it's an addition, not a subtraction.
So yeah, I mean, I love the Gibbs pick, and I'm to me, it's like, hey, find out if a guy can play. If he can play, as far as where you take him, I mean, value matters, but ultimately it comes down to the reality is history tells us that like maybe over a third of these guys are just going to be out of the league in not that long of a time. So it's all about just finding guys you like. Jack Campbell from Iowa is a really solid linebacker, but to me, that was one of the surprising picks of the first round. He had great workout numbers. Obviously, he was a great football player at Iowa. They had a tremendous defense. But I just, you know, I thought they were way better athletes. Obviously, they just fell in love with Jack Campbell. I mean, they took him. I mean, didn't most people have him around 50 or 60, and they took him 18?
I mean, I had him at 24 on my board, but I thought I was really high. I thought I was one of his biggest fans. That's the thing. I was like, oh man, like if he's there at 27, the Bills the Bills should take him. Like, and I was like, man, I'm crazy saying that. Like the odds are he's probably going to be there at their second pick. And I mean, seeing him go that early, like I said, I usually take him to the Lions in round 2, not round 1. It's a surprise, but he's the only linebacker in this class that's actually talented at that 6'5", 250-pound frame. There's nobody else like it, and he has a great work ethic. He fits perfectly, and to me, I like that pick more than the Jahmyr pick because of the fact that they're kind of desperate for a true leader on that defense. There's a lot of pieces that are already in place, and I don't think the linebacker class is deep at all. So that's why.
Green Bay going Lucas Van Ness. I mean, okay, I know he looks a little bit like Nick Bosa. He's got the six-pack. He's 6'5", he's 272. He's sitting on a couch with like 5 beautiful women. I mean, the guy looks like life is good. But I watched Iowa, and Iowa's got some great football players. We just talked about one of them. Riley Moss is another one. Van Ness is a really good player, but I don't know. I mean, it's like, where is he J.J. Watt? I mean, is he an interior guy who rushes the passer? If so, I think there's better guys at that. Is he an edge player? If he is, I've seen way more explosive guys off the edge. Green Bay took him. Todd McShay claimed that he loved him. He's versatile and scheme versatile, but is he dominant or is he kind of workmanlike?
He is a one-trick pony. This guy converts speed to power in a straight line, and that's it. That's why I'm a lot lower on him than probably the consensus is. I have him around 75, 80 on my board. He's somebody who's young, explosive, very athletic, and extremely moldable. And that's exactly what the Packers always look for. And in probably 3 to 4 years, they'll end up saying, hey, that was worth the first round pick. And they're not in their Super Bowl window, so they have 3 to 4 years to work with. So I think that's fine. I gave the pick a B-. I was like, it makes sense. And he's a good player. Just, I don't think that he's going to be a day one impact at all.
Green Glass Fold makes a donation. Says, see Ravens showing their draft board on live TV. Ouch. I didn't see that. Did you notice that at all?
No. But as a Steelers fan, I wish I saw that just so maybe I could plan for maybe telling the Steelers to draft all their players. And just
MF in the chat says, I like this guest, Larry. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Alex contacted me on Twitter, and we're glad to have him here helping us break down the draft. All right, let's get to, you mentioned the Steelers. Let's get down there because I thought this was an interesting move.
Yeah.
I think Bill Belichick still hates the Jets. And the Jets, I think, we're sitting there hoping that Broderick Jones, the blue chip tackle from Georgia, was going to fall into their lap at 15. And instead, New England trades out with the Steelers. And I just thought that was a way for Belichick again to stick it to the Jets. And then Broderick Jones, if there was a player that when they showed the highlights of, I thought, wow, look at that guy. It's probably Broderick Jones. He's 6'5", he's 3'11". He's clearly young. I think he still wears braces. But, I mean, he looked really young.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he also, looks totally dominating. He's got a skinny waist, huge, long arms, 310 pounds, and looks like the frame he could put on 25 pounds over the next 3 years. I don't know. The Steelers seem like always have a great angle on the draft.
Yeah.
If you told me that kid became like a Pro Bowl tackle, I would not be shocked. I mean, it's all about his makeup and how hard he works. But man, the film looks awesome. If you saw Broderick Jones tonight, what did you think of the pick? You're a Steeler guy, so you were probably pumped up.
So I actually did a trade with New England with Pittsburgh in my final mock earlier today. So I was like super excited. But I'm a Joey Porter Jr. guy. Number 2 on my board.
His dad played there.
He might be the pick at 32. So,
that's right. The Steelers have the next pick.
They have the next pick, and he's on the board. So, before I start lamenting, I think it's great. I'm tired of Dan Moore being the left tackle. The Steelers have invested a lot of money in the offseason on interior offensive linemen. So maybe that's because they wanted to get a left tackle. I'll say this. There were a lot of rumors, I don't know if you saw them, of the Steelers trading up with the Bears if Jalen Carter were there.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that was a huge rumor. And I saw that the Bears made a trade at 9 with Jalen Carter on the board. And I mean, I might be able to find it and replay it. I literally jumped out of my seat when I saw the pick was traded and then slammed my fist when I saw the Eagles made the 1 pick trade up. So it was very, it was a roller coaster of emotions, but Broderick Jones is a great player. I don't watch him versus Missouri because my boy Isaiah McGuire ate his lunch. It's really weird. Consistent in every game except that one. But,
we definitely want to get your thoughts on some of the guys for tomorrow, but let's finish up on the first round. Will McDonald went to the Jets. 10 career forced fumbles. I saw that and I thought, that sounds like D Ford.
Oh yeah.
So to me, McDonald is undersized, but what a tremendous athlete he is.
Oh, yeah.
Commanders went with Emmanuel Forbes, who has 6 pick sixes, but to me, I mean, when I watched him, I thought, oh my God, any running back with any size who runs to his side of the field, he's going to run out of bounds. I mean, he's 166 pounds. Yeah. That's too light. I mean, how light's too light? That's too light, especially when you've got height.
Yeah, I weigh as much as the guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
And he's a great player. I mean, 6 pick sixes, 14 career picks. Emmanuel Forbes can break on the freaking football, and he's looking to break on the football, and I like him.
Yeah.
But I liked him more late second round, early third round, because he's 166 pounds.
It's tough.
I thought he was overdrafted.
Yeah, I thought he was overdrafted too. Talent-wise, he was my corner 2 in the draft. But physics exist. And I decided not to go out and play football at SMU because I thought that I would absolutely be annihilated at over 166 pounds. This dude looks like a stick. He is not. I am much more dense than he is. I'm 5'9". This dude is 6'1", 166 pounds. It's not 5'10", 166. A 6 foot, 6'1", 166 pound man. Like, talk about a praying mantis on the field. This dude is straight up looking like the stick bugs you see on National Geographic.
I mean, any big back who's going to run to his side is just going to crumble him. I mean, I Forbes, I would say, he's going to spend a lot of time on IR. Then I thought Patriots got a great value going Christian Gonzalez where they did. Perfect. I thought that was good value. The one thing about Belichick, he knows DBs. Look at the DBs they've taken the last couple of years. Yep. He's got a great eye for it. He's probably the NFL's preeminent defensive backfield coach. I don't know if people know that, but then the Lions went Jack Campbell. Okay, now we get to Tampa at 19. Oh, I think this is the steal of the draft. Calijah Kancey. Yeah, well, I mean, just from the standpoint of he's ACC Defensive Player of the Year. This guy can convert speed to power. Okay. Yeah. He's 280 pounds. I think you're talking about a guy who could play outside in a 4-3. I think he could play inside in a 4-3 as an interior rusher. I don't like him in a 34 front, but I love him in a 4-3 front. And I'm not saying he's Aaron Donald because there's only one Aaron Donald. Yeah. And I think the pushback is always like, oh, he ain't Aaron Donald. Okay. Who cares? I mean, Aaron Donald is maybe the greatest defensive tackle of all time. I mean, I've seen Mean Joe Green. I've seen some of the great ones. Reggie White. Aaron Donald is as good as any I've ever seen. Yeah. But Cancey, his film was so damn good that I was like really surprised. I know he's oddly shaped, 6'1", 280. And if you watch him, you're like, this guy's undersized. But the quickness, the hand strength, the technique, the production, the awards, the accolades. I mean, this guy's. I think he's the real deal. I'm a huge. If you have a one gap penetrating front, and you're looking to get up the field, this guy can help you in a lot of different areas. Sure. I'm a Cancey guy. You're not, huh?
I like Cancey, but you know how we were talking about running backs being for like a Super Bowl window. I think Calijah. I don't trust him in the run, especially with his T-Rex arms, like 30-inch arms. Like, I have longer arms than Calijah Kancey. That's going to be a little bit rough when offensive linemen in the NFL know how to use their length a little bit better. I'm a little bit worried about that. But he's amazing as a pass rusher. We call him DPRs, designated pass rushers. And I think that a team that would utilize that properly is one that is looking for a guy to plug and play for a win-now move. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have way too many holes. And there's Anton Harrison there who – I'm extremely biased. I loved Anton Harrison coming out of Oklahoma. He's a great tackle, and they're looking for a left tackle right now. And I was like, oh, if you're going to play for the future, do something like that, or trade back, or go a quarterback. I mean, Will Levis is still on the board somehow, some way. But, I just thought that Cancey's a great player. I like Cancey. I just, similar to how Bijan was taken to the wrong situation, I just wish he were going to a place that would appreciate him and use him a little bit better now.
Then we had a run on receivers. We mentioned already Jackson Smith-Njigba going to Seattle. Not a huge, didn't love that pick for them. Quentin Johnston from TCU went to the Chargers. I thought he had kind of build-up speed and not really quickness. But what a weird pick for the Chargers. You have Keenan Allen. You have Mike Williams. They're both big, physical, tall receivers. And you get another guy that's literally, it seems like such a redundant part. And you had Zay Flowers from BC with his 4.4 speed on the board. He went the very next pick to the Ravens. I thought that was a great pick by Eric DeCosta. And Telesco is a terrific GM, the Chargers GM. But and I watched a lot of Max Duggan and TCU. Heck, you probably did too, being there. What was your feeling on Quentin Johnson? To me, he just seems like a great college receiver, but I don't know that he's a great pro receiver.
It's going to be tough I have him actually as my wide receiver 1, but I did have him as somebody who had big questions on. So when it comes to the Chargers drafting him, I actually had him in a mock that I did going Quentin Johnston. So I'm happy to at least say that. The reason why I chose him, maybe this is not the reason Telesco did, but the reason I did is, hey, I know Lamar Jackson is a direct competitor to us in when it comes to the playoffs. I know Lamar is really damn appreciative of the bigger wide receivers, the bigger targets. So basically what you're doing is saying, Ravens, we're going to make sure that you are sticking to the smaller wide receivers. Hollywood Brown didn't fully work out. Devin
No.
Duvernay did not fully work out. Like Lamar seemed to have a preference for a larger wide receiver. Now he's progressed a lot in his career. Lamar Jackson has. So maybe he is a little bit better at getting to somebody like Zay Flowers. But I think that it could have been a strategic move on that part, or they're getting ready for Keenan Allen to go bye-bye. And they just want another guy to give Justin Herbert that ability to just say, you know what, I feel uncomfortable. I'm just going to throw it up to somebody. And if he gets more surefire with his hands, he's going to be dominant.
Then the Vikings, they lose Thielen to Carolina in the offseason, and they go with Jordan Addison, who started at Pitt and finished at SC. And, man, now you got Addison and Justin Jefferson. I mean, I don't know if people know this, but Addison won the Biletnikoff Award when he was at Pitt. Could have came out, decided to go to SC to play another year. But he's 175 pounds. He's not the biggest guy. Minnesota's defense was god-awful at the end of the year. I was very surprised. I mean, I know that Thielen's a good player, and they want to replace Thielen, but there's other receivers in this draft. I mean, I like Addison a lot. As I just said, he's productive. But the 40 time's just okay. He's not necessarily all that big. I don't see crazy separation. I don't see a guy who's winning with strength at the line of scrimmage. And your defense was 31st in the NFL. You couldn't stop anybody. I think you badly needed an athlete somewhere on your defense, and instead they went Jordan Addison. That was a very bizarre move, I thought.
We're going to have to see what they do in the next 2 days. I think that that's going to be the key. Maybe they're very comfortable with the depth at corner. I thought they should have went Deontay Banks or Joey Porter Jr. Biased as a Steelers fan, I wanted them to go Deontay Banks and let Jordan Addison or JPJ fall to us because, pairing him with Kenny Pickett back at Pittsburgh days, that'd be kind of cool. But, I'm sure they just felt threatened by the fact they didn't have a second round pick and they wanted to get a second wide receiver. Do I think it was the best move for them? No. But I think making sure that the offense is at least clicking since, Kirk's there for one more year essentially, or probably a billion other ones. They always sign him to a 1-year contract. I think it was at least an understandable move. Maybe not the best, but understandable.
Bottom of the round, Giants go Deontay Banks, corner from Maryland, and then they showed his film, and it's like 4 of the 5 plays they showed would have been penalties in the NFL. Would have been face guarding. The guy doesn't turn for the ball, and then they even mentioned it. He has a hard time turning for the ball. Great, you just drafted a first-round corner that's going to be a regular PI offender. Then Jacksonville traded a couple times, and they gave this pick to Buffalo. This is the one that was really a mystery. Buffalo's got Knox, the Ole Miss tight end. I thought they have another tight end as well. They draft Dalton Kincaid. Now, Kincaid had a great productive career at Utah, but Kincaid is not the athlete that some of these other tight ends are. He was a walk-on at the University of San Diego. He worked himself into being a really productive player, catching passes for Cam Rising at Utah. But to me, Michael Mayer is clearly better than Dalton Kincaid. I think Kincaid's got production. I'm not going to deny the collegiate production that Kincaid had. Rising looked for him and found him a ton. He had some amazing games where it was like pitch and catch. But I see a guy who's not as strong, doesn't have as much growth potential, not as great of an athlete as Mayer or Darnell Washington or some of the other guys in this draft. He's a crazy great receiver. And it will help Josh Allen, but I thought I would have gone Michael Mayer there. And then Dallas, it was almost like Dallas was going to go Michael Mayer. They kept showing the Mayer highlights, and they went with Mozzie Smith out of Michigan. And Mozzie, if you're like me, I read the Bruce Feldman freaks list.
Number one.
And he was number one. So he was number one. He's the biggest physical freak there is. But I don't know, man. To me, he seems like a 2-down run plugger. There's all kinds of guys. Let's just say this. I would rather, if I was Dallas, pass on him here, go with Michael Mayer, and go draft Keandre Coburn out of Texas in the 5th or 6th round,
Yeah.
and probably get a very similar output to what they're going to get out of Mozzie. Mozzie's more explosive, a little stronger. I mean, he's a dominant physical guy, and I know they need to plug the run. But they just lost Dalton Schultz to the Texans, and they have Michael Mayer sitting in their lap, and they pass on him. I mean, I think Michael Mayer's a Pro Bowl caliber tight end. I think that's a move Dallas is going to regret.
Yeah, I mean, I am lower on Michael Mayer than you significantly. Yeah. However, I still thought
why don't you like Mayer?
So I honestly think he's uninspiring as a route runner, not very high in terms of separation. I feel like he's very similar to Pat Freiermuth, who I watch all the time. I think in a certain role, he'll do very well, but that role has to be right for him. I don't think he's versatile. But when it comes to Dalton Kincaid, I thought the Bills might have been a little bit threatened by the fact that all the wide receivers went. And I think they wanted to get one of those. But since Dalton Kincaid is comfortable in the slot, I think they're going to be using him there more as a receiving weapon rather than a pure tight end. Because I just have that weird feeling. They've been always trying to get another tight end, OJ Howard, Gronk. I think this was their way of saying, you know what? We're going to get somebody who can play as a receiver, but also maybe be that future option at tight end.
Some people are pushing back on me saying that Mayer is a better athlete than Kincaid. How did you have them graded out as athletes? I see Mayer as significantly better, but I can see there's a lot of people that like Dalton Kincaid. He had a terrific productive career. Yeah. But I'm looking for some of the workout numbers. I want to see how these guys actually measured out against each other.
Yeah, for me, I did. So I had Kincaid having significantly better long speed, but similar in terms of the short area quickness. Kincaid was a lot more smooth as a route runner to me, but when it comes to blocking, I don't think anybody could match Michael Mayer or Darnell Washington. Those guys are just easily in a league of their own. So I think a team like Dallas that loves to run the ball, I think Dalton Kincaid doesn't fit the way that Michael Mayer would. So I think it's just depending on which type of, it's what type of flavor ice cream do you want? Just because someone likes chocolate chip cookie dough and some people like mint chocolate chip doesn't mean one's better than the other. It just depends on who's wanting to buy it.
Lance Zierlein compares Kincaid to Zach Ertz. It's not bad. It's not a bad comp. Pac-12 guy played at Stanford. I think that's kind of a fair comp.
All right. Not against it.
And then the final part of the draft, you mentioned Anton Harrison. Jacksonville traded back a couple times. Trent Baalke took Anton Harrison. Bengals went Miles Murphy, who I think is a better athlete than a football player. He's a 5-star athlete. Yeah. I don't see crazy edge speed, and I don't see a lot of power, but he's a bigger defensive end for sure. And they've had Carlos Dunlap, so maybe he's very similar. Yeah. Saints took Brian Brzee from Clemson, who had that tragedy with his sister dying. He's a tough kid for sure. Yep. And then the Eagles went with Nolan Smith, the Georgia. I mean, Eagles are cornering the market on Georgia guys between Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis. I mean, everybody off that Georgia defense. It's the right defense if you're going to take everybody off of it. But I was shocked that Nolan Smith, who ran 4.38. Yeah, 4.39. Yeah, I mean, he's there at 30. I thought that was one of the best picks of the night is Howie Roseman stealing Nolan Smith at 30.
Oh, I totally agree. I thought the Seahawks would have nabbed Nolan Smith in a heartbeat. I didn't expect him to get past 20.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder why he did. I mean, I know he needs to have some, he needs some greater strength, and he was somewhat undisciplined, but he's one of the best athletes off the edge that we've seen coming out really in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this about him. His primary weapon, so to speak, when it comes to block shedding is this. He has this crazy wide rip. So when you watch him be able to block shed, it's a lot of pectoral strength. And that's a big reason his season ended because he had a pectoral tear. So I don't know if maybe teams are uncomfortable going after him because of the fact that, similar to how Hendon Hooker, his primary asset is his legs, and he had an ACL tear. The primary asset of Nolan Smith in terms of block shedding, in terms of his run stuffing ability, is that pectoral strength. So you might not be getting a day one dude. I'm surprised personally, but thinking about it from devil's advocate, that'd probably be the reasoning.
Looking at Mayer and Dalton Kincaid side by side, basically same height, very similar in a lot of their measurables.
Yeah.
Where Mayer lost out was when he did his workout. He just didn't his workout. His individual workouts were not great. 4.7 is what he ran. I think Kincaid beat that. I don't have Kincaid's 40 in front of me, but I think he beat that. 32.5-inch vertical, not great. But as I said, Mayer scored 9 touchdowns this year for the Irish. I'm a big Michael Mayer fan. Yeah. And then the Chiefs finish out round 1 with Felix Anadike Azuma, who's from K-State and I guess a Kansas City kid and a very popular player. But I was thinking maybe they'd go Mayer. I mean, you've got this incredible tight end right now in Kelsey, and he's getting up there in age.
Yep.
And to have the double tight end, and it was kind of a luxury pick, as they mentioned in the broadcast. I thought maybe they would go Michael Mayer. So